Hello. I know it's been a while that I posted. I've been going through a little depression, so I had to work on that. And it's kind of ironic because I've been going through this full-fledged depression since whenever I was putting the post for the last 4 episodes of From. But I still came through, I guess, because at that moment, that was the only thing that kept me moving. And I'm not saying I'm not moving because of that, but that took my mind away. Because, and I'm gonna try to say this without shedding tears, around September I had lost a loved one, so I was trying to push through, and then I had to still go to work because of some issues. Well, I really couldn't afford to go and see that loved one when they passed. So I had to deal with working and trying to deal with the loss at the same time. And then I'm in health insurance. It's already stressful as it is. And then you have to sit up here and try to keep a brave face. And I work from home, so you have to sound like you're, going happy. And that's kind of hard to do. Because one time I got a call, and this lady, she needed something. I forgot what it was, but she had just lost someone. I think it was her mother. And she sat on the phone and tried to get her words out. And she was like, "I'm sorry, I just lost my mother." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I just lost my brother. I know how that feels." She was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I was trying to keep from crying. And to joke it off, I was like, "Thank you, and my condolences to you too. So let's move on before we before we both start crying on the phone." So I'm trying to seek therapy because of that, and then trying to deal with the high stress of my job. And I have to, take something to calm me down. And I try not to take the depression medicine all the time, because I don't like taking pills. And I don't want to get dependent on anything like that. So when I think I need to take it, I try to take it. Back in December, it was a bunch of things that happened. And I'm going to freestyle this because, I'm trying to push myself now. And so I didn't write anything down. So I'm just going free willy. And I don't know how long this is going to last. But one of the things was when the shooting happened with Luigi, I wanted to put my 2 cents in. And like I said, I have to be careful what I say because I'm in health insurance myself right now. And I don't know if this man did it or not. I'm not going for that. Want to more spread awareness when it comes down to health insurance, because the shocking thing to me when it happened was people were saying, "Oh, whatever, United Healthcare was denying people's medical services." And I found it weird because from 2020 clear up to February 2023, I was working with Medicare Advantage plans for a company. I'm not going to say their name. And a lot of people would call in and get angry about stuff. And majority of the things that for this company I worked for at the time that people were getting angry about, it wasn't the company's fault. And I'm not saying the company wasn't at fault at all, because it would be times when people were complaining about things. It was actually that company's fault. People fail to realize that these insurance companies, especially when you're dealing with Medicare and Medicaid, and I don't know what was going on there, but they have to deal with federal laws. And then when you deal with Medicaid, you have to deal with state and federal laws. So when I worked at the health company with the Medicare Advantage plans between 2020 and 2023, people were getting angry with the company I was working with at that time and going to United Health. That company I knew I was going to slip up. They were going to that company, saying it was better. So when people were on the internet, were complaining, I was kind of shocked because people were trying to say that they were good. So I don't know if it was difference in like private insurance and Medicare. But at that time, people were leaving. Some people, not all, they were leaving to go to that company. But what I'm saying about awareness, people need, and this is what people don't do when they get insurance, they need to go over everything. They need to go, when you get a member's handbook, when you get a benefit booklet, if you have to download it, because you need to know what your co-pays are. Even when I had private insurance, which I do now, working, but I always either look on the back of my card, because at that time, checkups, all that stuff, I want to know what my copay is for my doctor's visits. And if you want to know, just in case if something happens, what you need to do, read your handbook. And then another part is school education. If you lived in a state where they did not give you enough education to know how insurance works, learn it on your own, because part of that I learned in school. Some stuff needed prior authorization. You have HMOs, PPOs. HMO, you have to stay within network. If you're not in network, you're going to need a prior authorization to do a service, and may need a referral to go to an out-of-network doctor. PPOs, little slack there. You can go to both in and out of network. You don't need that many referrals. With a PPO, you may not need a referral at all. You may or may not need a prior authorization with the PPO. Just because it's a PPO doesn't mean that you may not need a prior authorization at all, because certain services, regardless, needs a prior authorization. And that's another thing when I was saying about awareness. When I worked for the other insurance company, a man's wife called in, and she was angry because the insurance company I worked for at that time wouldn't pay for a certain type of eye surgery. And that's something you need to know. If you find out you have a diagnosis, sometimes no insurance is gonna, cover it, because it's an expense to them. People are not thinking that this is capitalism. Capitalism, these businesses, these corporations are going in to make a profit, and they have to make a profit because some type of profit, whether they're getting corporate welfare or not, they have to make some type of profit, because they have to pay for their buildings, and they have to pay for the employees, and they have to pay for employees' benefits. And this is another thing working with insurance companies or anything that has to do with Medicare, Medicaid. People think that when you work for these big name companies, you have it made as an employee, and that's not true too. Sometimes they can pay you a good wage and your benefits suck. Sometimes they can have good benefits, but they don't pay you enough to. and I'm not just saying insurance, I'm saying in general. Anytime it's a big name company, I'm noticing that in customer service, they can pay you, they can have good benefits, but your wages are not that great, and you can't get health insurance. So just because somebody's name is always on TV, on the news, whatever, and you thinking they're making a good profit, doesn't mean the employees there are set. It doesn't mean that at all. Because I've had, since 2020, I had 1, 2, 3, this is my 4th work from home job, and I think like my 3rd one, I worked for a company that had a contract with a gas company, and customers called in, thought that since I worked at this gas company, like my bills were paid. And actually I had took like a $3.40 pay cut, because the medical industry, and you just don't understand how stressful that is. was stressful. And then I was angry with myself because I left my other job to go to this job, and I'm making $2.40 less, and it's just about as stressful. So, insurance is no joke. Dealing with insurance company, no, insurance customers are no joke, because people really don't understand like how it works. And sometimes you'll get customers where you can explain things to, because my second work from home job, like, I explained to her how insurance works, and I guess she thought I went to insurance college or something. I didn't know they had that. But no, I learned it in public school, and then I watched the news. And a lot of times news backed up what a teacher taught in school. So, I didn't go to an insurance vocational school or 4-year college for insurance. No. It was something else I can't remember, but I can't remember this, and I did say I'm freestyling. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the rapper, which everybody is talking about right now, that is suing Lyft. Another thing people don't understand is that these gig workers are using their own car to do this for you, and depending on what state they live in, they don't get compensated that much. So if something happens to that man's car when you get in it, are you gonna say, oh man, that's bad that happened, you need a better car? I don't understand why you were trying to sue him for something that doesn't make sense, because in the end, whether they work for Uber, Lyft or not, their car is their car, and they are not going to compensate those gig workers if they lose something off their car or lose the whole car. I had thought about doing that. I lived in Indianapolis for a year or two, and at that time I didn't have a vehicle. I would Uber all the time, and I just would ask different Uber drivers like what they thought. And it was like a mixed review, and only one, like a lot of them said, oh yeah, this is great. One guy was like, I go downtown on sports nights, holidays, and make a killing. And because a lot of people go down there and get drunk on the weekends. I'm trying to burp. I had one driver that was totally like, it's not worth it, because I'm putting wear and tear on my car. Somebody may not tip me, anything like that. And to sit up there and put pressure or make someone who's they're putting their life on the line, and they're putting their property on the line because they're paying this, make them feel a certain way because they're trying to protect their livelihood. Because depending on where you live, some people can lose a car and still make it until they get another car. Some people are just down if they lose a car. So Detroit, if she's in Detroit, from what I've seen, a little bit of it might be that same way. He can lose his car, and that's it for him. So I didn't agree, and I've seen little interviews. I've seen the interview, a clip of it, because I wouldn't dare watch the whole video of that interview of her, not wanting to sit in that chair, saying she needed accommodate. Oh, that's on my phone. I have that on my phone. I thought it was something on my neck. She wanted to be accommodated. But, little comments I seen on the video, people are saying, like, you just lost your case because you're saying that you could fit in that car, but you can't fit in that chair. That, is ridiculous. And then we're getting to the point of conversation being offensive, period. And I didn't get with her saying that, oh, we don't say the F word because that's offensive. And I was just about as confused as Charlamagne, because there's a lot of F words you could be talking about. And I like the way Just Hilarious was like, okay, sounds like she said in her mind, since you talking about F word, what about the S people? This can get ridiculous. People getting defensive over, at this point, you can get defensive over the English vocabulary, the dictionary. I guess we're going to have, in the end, people sign, shoot, they have the derogatory words, which fat can be used derogatory, and it cannot, because some people can say, hey, give me that fat piece of chicken, give me that fat piece of steak. Other things can be labeled fat. So it's getting too much, and it makes me not want to like talk to people. Why do you want to be accommodated? And Charlamagne was correct. Like, everybody, if we can, as a population, just accommodated everything that somebody wanted. And I don't know how he's thinking about it. I'm saying it from my perspective. If we just accommodated everything somebody wanted, where do we draw the line of right from wrong? Because I can accommodate you for what you're asking, and it may not be legal. It may not be moral. And I know people don't even say anything about being moral anymore, but hey, I'm saying it. It may not be moral, it may not be legal. So where do we draw the line of where we're going to stop accommodating people? Because it's not going to work. And then you're saying that you don't want to say fat because that sounds offensive. Your accommodations can be offensive to somebody also. I don't like, it's so strange to me and mind-boggling. Like, I can't get my thought out right now. Like, if we keep going in this direction where you're asking for just be, let's be willy-nilly, let's just do whatever, but then you saying accommodate everybody, but you can't say this, you're drawing a line, because somebody can say, hey, I want to go ahead and say fat. What are you going to do then? Because you said let's accommodate everybody, and their accommodation is, I don't see anything wrong with saying fat. I'm fat today. I ate a whole chicken in a buffet at the restaurant. They kicked me out, so I'm fat today. You're going to be offended. We don't think about what we let slide out of our mouths. During my depression, I can say I did do a binge watch of From. I think when I'm ready to do it, I may go ahead and go back through the episodes and do a review of, if I can remember my thought process, and if I have like a different thought process, which changed after season 3 was over. I'll just go ahead and do some notes, because while I was doing the binge during my depression, my thoughts, and I probably put this in one of my videos, like, why, I'm gonna say spirit that's in Tabitha and Jade keeps revolving over. I can't think of the word. We're going to say body jumping, because it's another, keeps getting reincarnated. I'm sorry, I just threw my hand right. Keeps getting reincarnated over and over again. Like, what is the reason? And then with them trying to save the children, is it supposed to be their punishment to keep getting reincarnated and getting trapped back there? Because they have to get trapped back there. Victor's mom did it, so who else did it before them? Jade and Tabitha, Christopher, and Victor's mother. And what is supposed to be revealed about them being reincarnated over and over again? Because my thought process is, this supposed to be a punishment because they tried to save the kids? Because really, I think both of it is a bum deal, because these people sacrifice their kids and they turn into fish vampires. because they look like fish to me. They turn into this. They can't leave that area. Their food has to be trapped there. And then thinking about what Ian said, everybody has a purpose there. Everybody who gets trapped there, what is their purpose? Some people do have a quest that they have to fill, and some of them are food. Like what is what's the end game here? Like what's going on? It was something else that I was getting ready to say. I can't remember, but in the first season, when I thought that they did get a deal, the monsters, to be there. At first, I thought, because if you watch some shows, sometimes like the people that's trapped there, or the characters you see there, are related to the people that gave the deal. You know, when you see horror movies, like I just watched one where, and I can't remember the name, they killed this black lady because they tried to say she was a witch. First, they killed her 2 daughters, and then she cursed them before they killed her. And then she kept coming back and coming for the descendants of the people who killed her. So I was thinking, like, the Black Civil War soldier may have been related to Boyd. And maybe that Civil War soldier was related to somebody else, that was related to somebody else, that was related to somebody else that was in that little sect. So after they revealed some stuff, and I was like, okay, maybe that's not it. Maybe the random soldier has a connection somewhere else. And then the paintings, I can't remember if it was like 2 white guys or a white guy and a black soldier. I don't remember, if it was just 2 of the same color or 1 of the same color or another of the same color. But I thought there was a connection there. And then I thought it was a different kind of connection in Jay's vision, because why did you see a guy in the cellar with the boulder on top of him? Like, it was, now, is that somebody that you knew back then? You knew what happened while the boulder was on that person? The guy with the stake in his eye, was that original guy? Was that the original guy that you are being reincarnated to? Or this is for you to be reminded that you seen him being sacrificed? So that's a couple of questions. I feel like if this is the last season, and I'm sorry, I pray that it is, because I don't like when, like The Walking Dead, excuse me, to me, after Carl was gone, they should have ended it. And then if Chandler Riggs was ready to come back after he came back from college to play Carl, picked up from there. When the storyline gets to a point where you can't get a point and it just goes anywhere, that's when it should have stopped. I'm going to stop this early because I have to cough and I don't want to sound disgusting on it. But those are some things I was trying to get out on my little freestyle post. I'm going to try to pick up and post more. But I'll see you guys later. Everybody has an opinion. I have one too. Just expressing it right now. But I'll try to get more going. Like, click, and subscribe. I'm also going to try to tell my plans on what I'm going to do with this channel when I get all that together too. So have a good night.